All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel. This is where I'm at, talking about real music and doing it in real time for a few real people out here, just like you and just like me. So, Sammy Hagar is clarifying some of his comments. Um, Videos I've recently done about Sammy Hagar have been met with a lot of criticism, not necessarily the videos themselves, but people are pushing back against Sammy Hagar and just his narrative about certain things regarding Van Halen. And one of the things I read and hear a lot is that, the Roth era was so much better. Roth was a party. Sammy threw cold water on it. Everybody knows that the Van Halen that Sammy was in or fronted wasn't as good as the Roth era Van Halen. And I don't deny that that's true. Pretty much every band, if you go back in history, the earlier incarnation of that band is probably going to be the best, right? Of course, Sammy Hagar was put into that situation because Roth left. And give Sammy a little bit of credit because he's still out there. He's still trying to carry the torch, not only of what's left of the Van Halen legacy, but more importantly, just an older dude who's out there still touring. But about a week ago, it surfaced that he said he didn't want to tour anymore, and now he's clarifying these comments, and it's much ado about nothing. Uh, Most of the older guys that are out there trying to tour, they don't want to go from hotel room to hotel room in different cities. They enjoy staying in one place. In this case, obviously, it's Las Vegas. Most bands would prefer to do that, except maybe the band Chicago, who seem to have like a wish to kind of collapse on stage at some point as they do like 100 dates a year or something. And that's a lot for at least the three guys who are still in that band as the old timers representatives. I don't know how much longer that's going to go on. Rumor has it that they want to do a, just like an orchestra, like the Chicago Orchestra band, and Robert and Lee and Jimmy can just quit at that point and send everybody else out there to perform the music. And at this point, they could probably do that. Sammy Hagar, though, as a solo artist, he really can't do that. Um, and so he's out there basically saying that, look, I do want to keep on touring. Um, he told the Las Vegas Review Journal originally that he said, I don't think I want to go on tour anymore. But what he meant was he doesn't want to travel around the country. He would love to just stay in Vegas, or I don't know. Does any other venue do this kind of thing where they have you for weeks on end? It would be kind of cool if you had an East Coast version of this and a West Coast version, or you had this around the country where somebody could just camp out at this location. And it wouldn't be that hard to arrange with the venue, I'm thinking. But he says here that I'm chomping at the bit when it comes to showtime in Vegas because I will be really well rested without all that travel. He says, I think it's going to be great, and maybe I'll be able to squeeze 50 or 100 more shows out of this voice and this body. He says, I'm a performer. I like to perform, and it takes it out on you, though, which means I guess it's a lot of work, which obviously we know that. Hagar is what, 77 years old, 78, in that range? He says, that's all I'm saying is hopefully the residency will be the answer so I can continue for many more years, because if not, touring is getting tough and I'll be doing less and less of that. Eventually, probably I won't be doing it at all. I mean, it's inevitable. I'm only human. So again, it's kind of a mixed bag. You could still read into that and say that Hagar will be quitting at some point, probably pretty soon. But, a lot of these guys, they say, yeah, this is going to be my farewell tour. So if Hagar announces a farewell tour, you can almost bank on the fact that he'll be around for another 3 or 4 years saying goodbye. A lot of these guys, they like the money, and maybe they like the limelight. They like being in front of people, even if they're a diminished version of themselves. People are still showing up. I get a lot of feedback when I say, should this person continue to tour? And people say, hey, it's up to them. They want to keep going. But when does it get embarrassing? At what point do you just feel bad for the person and you look at them and you say, obviously, this is just a money grab. This is just, and it's always a money grab, but when you go see something and it's not very good, and people are convinced that, oh, it wasn't as bad as you think, or it was good for what it was, and I didn't expect them to sound like they used to. That's lowering expectations, and that's because we're locked in time. We are frozen in a time warp, and a lot of people haven't moved on from that because there was no support system for music after this classic rock era, which, in my humble opinion, ended, even if you want to include the grunge era, probably like 1997, 1995, in that era. It was over. And so for 30 years, we've been on kind of like this treadmill of hoping that the people we used to like to listen to can hang on a little bit longer. But in some cases, it's getting embarrassing. Look what they're doing to poor Frankie Valli. Just it's elder abuse. I mean, and that's an extreme example, but for the most part, when you listen to these guys and you think to yourself, this isn't what I grew up listening to. This sounds totally different. It's in the wrong key. The guy's voice is shot. It just, they shouldn't be out here anymore. They're embarrassing. Not only are they embarrassing themselves, but they're also hurting their legacy. So I like what Peter Cetera did. He pulled the plug on his career before it got too embarrassing. He was starting to sing things in a much lower key, and he had been doing that for a number of years. He still sounded pretty good doing that, but he's just like, do I want to be one of those guys out there still who's trying to recapture, the glory days when I know those days are over? And so, he bowed out gracefully. I'm sure people would show up to see him if he, decided he was going to tour again. But man, just, look at the Kevin Cronin situation. There's so many other examples. There are a few people, like I've talked about here, the Mickey Thomases of the world, the John Andersons, they can, even Eric Clapton, who kind of defy logic, in the sense that they're not aging the same way other people are aging, and they can still sing and then perform, and and it's not embarrassing. It's actually thrilling to see somebody who could still bring it at a certain age. But on the opposite side of that coin, it's super embarrassing when you pay all that money and you're like, wow, I didn't know. Well, thanks to YouTube, you can check out all the videos that people upload, and then you can make a determination. Is this band or artist worth seeing? In the case of Sammy Hagar, last year I recommended that people go and see Sammy because I think he's probably about a C or a C plus, based on what he used to be. And that's better than the D minus or F that I've been watching for the most part, with a lot of guys who continue to go out there and pretend that they sound just like they used to. And no, they don't. So anyway, so Sammy might just be parked in Vegas. So if you live near Las Vegas, bonus, if you've got lots of disposable income. Bonus for you, but if you don't, then I would just probably live vicariously through other people who are uploading videos. God bless everyone. Please, thanks for being here. Uh, and I really appreciate that. And all those patrons and YouTube members. I'm still looking for more patrons, and I had someone buy me a coffee yesterday. So that was cool. Hasn't happened in quite some time. This is where my channel is now. It's mostly music, but occasionally I go off on tangents. So you'll have to put up with the rambling and all that good stuff. Again, God bless everyone. Please pray for people in the South and people out West who have lost everything. And be thankful for what you have.